What's good, brother?
KT Killer Tactics.
What's
Thank you
up?
so much for joining me, man. How you doing?
No doubt. I'm good. I'm blessed, bro.
You're on episode 6 of the Low Theory.
I'm honored.
I'm
It's an
honored, man,
honor.
I'm honored for you to come and join me as my guest, man. Seriously, it's a big deal for
Nah,
me to
man.
have you on, man.
I'm honored, man. I'm honored. You caught me. I literally just got in the house from work.
Okay.
And you see, I'm sitting down at a desk about to go back to work.
On that grind.
Work on some real estate deals and situations. But yeah, what's going on, man?
I love the work ethic. Trust me. I was telling people earlier before I tapped you in, I'm wearing my MIT hat today because you rep Cambridge, so it was only right for me to wear this hat.
Yeah, I see a couple of Cambridge heads on here. What's up?
Yes,
To
sir.
my
Salute to
little
everybody tapping
bros,
in. So
Trev City,
so
Kid
so KT,
Carlisle,
man.
aka
Yeah.
Ian.
All the homies, man.
Nah,
I
that's
love it.
actually that's family. Those
Oh,
anyone from Cambridge that taps in is family. That's anybody. I
C and
see my
B.
my homegirl Kendra. She tapped in.
Yo,
Yeah.
KT,
Yes, sir.
let's jump right in.
Let's
Let's jump right in.
let's.
Let's address the elephant in the room. The
Where? What elephant?
comments, the comments were going crazy.
Okay.
21, let me set it up. 21 years ago, the year
Crazy, huh?
2000. I know,
21 years ago.
I know.
They even say that it's crazy.
It absolutely definitely ages
Polo Sport,
us.
what's up, bro? Peace.
So 21 years ago in the year 2000, HBO did a national show, a viewing of what was called the Blaze Battle. And you
Okay.
were part of this Blaze Battle.
Okay.
And you battled many individuals. But there's one particular battle that happened between you and a female named Infinity
Okay.
that she had some animosity towards this battle. Can you address or set up kind of what that battle was about and that particular battle for the people that don't know or haven't even seen it?
Okay. Just to clear some things up, because if you get an opportunity, go to the Real Freddie Lowe's page. Check out. I was living in New York City at
Uh-oh,
the
I think we
time.
lost you, my brother.
Nah,
Hold on.
I'm here.
Okay, proceed. Go
Can
to
you
my
hear me?
page. I'm hearing you lovely right now.
Okay.
Wi-Fi's cracking.
So go to his page, go to the Real Freddie Lowe's page, and you can see the back and forth. So I was living in New York City at the time, and I had just gotten out of my record deal. Like the label I was signed to, that wasn't moving in the direction I wanted it to. Long story short, I was signed to Andre Harrell.
Rest in
And
peace.
he had his label going through Epic. But a stipulation to that deal is that Andre had to be the CEO of Epic. And he said no. He turned the job down. And Tommy Mottola said, oh, you don't want to do the job? Then you don't get a label deal here. So once I learned that information, boom, I get out that deal. I go to Andre's house. God bless Andre's soul, because he is one of very few people I met in the music industry that was a real individual. We sat at the negotiation table when we signed my deal. It was about 15 people at the table, and he asked me exactly what it was that I wanted. I told him. He told the attorney, and the attorney contacted my attorney. He got me an apartment on East 53rd Street in Manhattan. He gave me a budget. The first time around, the budget was $250, and then halfway through the recording process, he upped it another $250. So those who can do math, that's $500,000 for a virtually unknown rap artist from the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, that just happened to have a way with words, right?
Absolutely.
So everything's going smoothly. Then that happens, and I get out my deal. At the time, David and Chris Lighty were managing me. We were already working on another deal, but there was a brother that was from Boston, and he was actually living in New York, working at Vibe magazine. And he reached out to Violator to get in contact with me. And when they told me who it was, shout out to Jermaine Gomes. He reached out to me and was like, yo, Vibe is getting ready to start this magazine called Blaze, and they're going to be doing battles and all of that. And I mentioned your name in a meeting. You have to come to the office because they got to hear you spit or you can't get in the battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I come to the office, 5 minutes into it, they're like, yo, he's in the battle, right? So the first battle took place at Webster Hall. That was the first battle. And in the first battle, I battled Ali Vegas. And at the time, Ali Vegas was being set up to be the next Nas. Mm-hmm. So he was that next New York rapper. So I'm hearing all of this, that, and the third about him. And I'm like, I'm not impressed. You know what I'm saying? People have to understand that I came up in the era where I met Jay-Z and Jazzo in 1989. I was cool with Jay from 89.
Let's talk about that later, though. But go ahead.
You got to know that I was around MCs that could really rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is the first Blaze battle. Go there. It was me. It was my man, God rest the dead, my man DY, and then my man Damani from LA. He's actually Paul Pierce's best friend, and he was living in Boston when Paul got drafted. So he actually drove us in a truck that was donated to Paul from like some dealership. And we were like, yo, I was like, how am I going to get out there? He's like, I'm going to take the car. We going to go, right? Mm-hmm. So we get there. I get in there. They're like, yo, you got to battle Ali Vegas. I'm like, I don't care who I'm battling. Ali Vegas, Las Vegas.
Right. Somebody tap in Ali Vegas right now. But go ahead. I said somebody in the comments tap in Ali Vegas right now. But go ahead.
Tap in Ali Vegas. Ali Vegas was young. So we got to keep that in mind. He was young, but yo, he definitely has swag. Right. And he definitely could spit. He definitely could spit. The one thing about me is any competitor that I've gone up against, whether win or lose, I gotta respect them, for what they've done. So I give him that credit, but there's a huge hype around him. So we get up there. I remember he said some rhyme. And listen, his swagger was like a grown man, and the kid was like 15, I think. He had to be like 15 or 16, but he had swag like a grown man. And he spit something like, I hang with the OGs that sip Mo and Zay. I'm like, oh, he wants to be Nas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, oh, he really wants to be Nas. So all I can say is I vaguely remember the rhyme that I said to him and crushed him in that battle. And I said, I think I said to him, I like when cats talk about gats and don't bust them. I said, the only plaque you're going to see is on your teeth when you don't brush them. I said, my heart is hateless. Your rhymes are weightless. Me being nicer than you, that issue is debateless. You want to try and break this? I'll spit these bars. Hand you the mic, you'll hand it right back like, dog, take this. I even get love from your whores. They're like, Ali, you nice, but K's flows nicer than yours. Probably caught me a Jesus and put ice in his pores. I stomp competition. How you like it? Knights of the Gores. I roll dice on the floor, hit trips while you dotty. You running with chihuahuas. My peoples is pits and roddies. You balling up your fists like you about to hit somebody. Come on, little man. You go and run and get somebody. You don't know KT? My issue's off the meat rack. I'll rap on your tracks and make the producers take their beats back. After I said that, Fat Man Scoop was the judge. He snatched the mic out of my hand. He was like, whoa.
And this is, oh my gosh. Yeah, you scorched them. I
scorched them. And you know the only reason why I still know that rap? Because to promote the battle, they used that clip. Moving forward, when they were promoting the Blaze battle city to city, that was the clip they used. So I used to watch that over and over again because I was like, I want to remember what it was that I said because I was just off and running. And that's what they used. So fast forward, the next battle was in LA. And they called me and they said, KT, you're automatically in the next battle. Not only was I in the next battle, when I got to LA, first of all, they paid for my hotel, they paid for my flight, they paid for my food. The minute I got to LA, I was rushed from the hotel to the radio station to do an interview with Ed Lover.
Oh, wow.
When he was on the radio out there about the battle. And I was so gassed from the lyrical scorching I had given Ali Vegas that I'm on the radio in LA gas thinking that there's no MCs that are nice in LA. Like, ain't nobody nice out here. He's like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get on stage and do what I normally do, and I'm going to win. I win. That's what I do. So I got up there talking big trash.
Yeah.
That battle was at the House of Blues on Sunset.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I got there, and when I'm walking in, all of the competitors were like, yo, that's KT. Yo, that's KT. Because by now, it had already been publicized in the magazine and Vibe and The Blaze. Everyone knew who I was because they put that line that I said to Ali Vegas in the magazine, too. So first round, I'm in there gas like I'm about to do damage, like I'm about to take the building down. I get eliminated the first round by my man C4.
C4.
So the thing is, shout out to C4. That's my guy. What C4 did is what any MC should do going in the battle. And what he did is that he got the magazine and did his research.
Mm-hmm.
He started doing his research. He's like, oh, okay, that, okay, this, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got up there, he went first. He lost the coin toss, and he went first. And he started rhyming. He started out shaky, but that was just the way he rhymed.
Right.
You know
And let me cut you off real quick. And no disrespect, if anybody's hearing this right now when it's on the podcast or listening live, go to YouTube or Google and just type in Blaze Battle 2000 KT verse C4 or whoever he just mentioned, and you can see these clips.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
So I just remember that C4 got up there and he said something real fast, and I'm like, oh, here we go with this mumbo jumbo. And then he said, you ain't got ish to say. You look like a faggot ass Dr. Dre. He said, and I remember Tiny Lister was on the stage. The dude who played Ezel in Friday was on the stage. He was like, he said, you look like a faggot Dr. J. He goes, what you gonna do? He said, I'll punch you in your face. That's my bite, punk. Welcome to the West Side where I ride through and dump. When he said that, I was like, yo. I was like, this kid was ready.
Yeah.
Yo, see, I encourage you to go check out C4, check out Ali Vegas. These are all MCs that were not low caliber. These are high caliber MCs.
Right.
And C4 got busy that night. And at the end of it, and the thing is I openly admit that by him doing that, it surprised me. And not only did it surprise me, it threw me off my pivot. And that normally never happens. Mm-hmm. That never happened to me ever. That's the one time in my entire rap career that happened. But, you know, shout out to C4. He got busy that night. Mm-hmm. He was there. There was a group collective out on the West Coast called Project Blowed, where it would be a place that everyone could go and rhyme. They had open mics, all that stuff. And I remember Medusa was in that battle too. And Medusa said to C4, she said, are you sure you're here to battle for Blaze? Because you look like you're looking for the cast from Happy Days. And so they went at it. But C4 got busy on her too. And it was a lot of good MCs. It was a lot of dope MCs there that night. Yo, Clark, what's up, man? Hey, Clark took me to my first battle in New York. It was at the Lyricist Lounge.
Salute the legend Clark Kent, for sure.
Yo, Clark took me to my first battle in New York. I remember we were hanging out. For those who don't know, I used to hang with Clark back in the early 90s. I met Clark through Foxy Brown's older brother, Anton. And so I remember we were just running around the city. And then Clark was like, yo, let's go to the Lyricist Lounge. And I'm like, okay. And I remember J. Rue the Damager was the host. And Clark and me were standing off to the side. And J. Rue said, who wants to battle? Like, who wants to battle? Clark was like, my man will battle anyone in here.
That's crazy.
I remember I battled my man that used to be down with Big Pun, AL, all lyrics. He was down with Pun and the Terror Squad and all them. And I just remember he had on white swishy pants and a polo shirt. And I just gave him the business because I'm looking at his pants. And I said, I could never be scared of someone who wears white swishy pants.
Yo.
And I remember Mecca had a sign. Mecca had a sign hanging above the stage. And I was like, I said, you got on the stage Now I gotta wreck you. And he had a polo shirt on. So I said, I used to rock low, but now I rock Mecca. Yo, the Mecca owner approached me later that night and said, come to the office tomorrow. And the next day, he gave me boxes of Mecca clothing. So shout out to Clark. Clark used to run me around the city and tell people, this is my man from Boston. He's nice. Hey, a real fact. Clark flew me out to the Soul Train Awards the year Big got killed. And I remember being in the party, and when Biggie came in, Clark brought me over to the table, and this is my second time being introduced to Big. Because there was another time in a club in New York, me and Clark was at this club called Downtime. We used to always go to on Fridays.
But
and
hold
Big,
on, let me. Did you just say you were in LA at that party?
I was at the party talking to Big an hour before all of that happened.
Cool. Please continue.
Yo, Big Clark, let me tell you something about Clark. This is why I'll always be grateful for Clark and always have love for Clark. I was in a situation here, Clark opened his door, say, come stay at my crib, right? Mm-hmm. Not only that, I always tell people, Clark flew me around the world in the first 6 months of me being in New York, right? Mm-hmm. So at the Soul Train Awards, Big comes in with Puff, Stevie J, they all come in. So when they're in, I just remember Clark like, yo, come on, let's go talk to Big. And he brought me over there. It was like, yo, Big, this is my man I was telling you about. This is my man, KT. And Big was like, oh, yeah? He said, this is the second time you introduced me to him. He was like, he's nice. He's like, all right, cool. Bring him to Daddy's house. Now, I'm gassed, thinking when we get back to New York, I'm going to Daddy's house. And right. I just remember Clark sitting in the cut, real quiet. And I'm like, yo, what's good? Because mind you, party was sponsored by Tanqueray. Clark had bought like 50 bottles of champagne and was passing them out to everybody. And I just remember Clark was off in the corner sitting real quiet. And I'm like, what's good? He's like, yo, I got a funny feeling something's going to happen. And then later that night, we found out that Big had gotten shot. Not even later that night. The party got ended because there was too many people inside of the car museum. By the time we got outside, about 15 minutes after everyone being outside, shots rang out.
Wow.
And that's when Big got shot. But that's a real fact for all y'all people who say, oh, does K really know Jay-Z? Does K really know Clark? Yes, I do. I know him. And Clark was the first one that put me in my first rap battle when I first moved to New York. And that was the Lyricist Lounge.
Wow, brother. That's crazy. Rest in peace, Big. That's crazy. Not a lot of people had, B.I.G. stories. Obviously, Clark Kent is the one who, essentially put him onto the world. And if you guys don't know, do your research, please. So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that, bro. On the low theory, I want you to tell so many stories, bro, but we keep it sweet, short, and concise, right?
Yeah.
We got about 10 minutes to go. But because you're my guy and I know your history, we definitely have to have a part 2.
Absolutely.
To keep this going. Now,
absolutely.
What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about that certain battle with that individual, or do you want to go somewhere else with this?
Listen, I'll be quick with that one. That battle with Infinity, I met Infinity earlier that day. It was at the Manhattan Center. We all were at the Manhattan Center. We all had to do like these pre-interviews in case you won the battle, right? Mm-hmm. So after all of that was done, she knew who I was. Everyone knew who I was because I was in the magazine. Everyone knew who I was. If you were ever in a Blaze battle previously, you were in the magazine. So people would know who you were. So I just remember she was hanging out. We were hanging out. And I think we went and got something to eat and was just like walking around the city, just killing time until later that evening. And I remember just getting back to the Manhattan Center later and Jermaine Gomes approaching me and saying, yo, you're battling Infinity. And I'm like, yo, this is a coincidence because I was hanging with her all day. Now I'm battling her. Okay, it's all good. So, we get up there, the battle ensues. She says what she says. But, I just, in all honesty, anyone who's ever really saw me in a battle, what I did with that battle between her is nothing in comparison to what I normally do. And right. Clark can attest to this. We were in Miami and I battled some kid that was like a little dude supposed to be like Bow Wow. And it was like bands on the line. And I destroyed this little kid, man. So normally I go to work. But in that particular situation, I was like, yo, I'm going to just make light work of this and move forward.
Right.
Because honestly, she said a lot of stuff in her rhymes, but I think she rushed through it. If she didn't rush through it, it would have given people the opportunity to really hear what she was saying. And you know, no disrespect to her, but anyone who stepped foot on that stage in front of all those people, they definitely need to be commended and respected in that regard. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what ensued in that battle. When she jumped on your page and started saying I was managed by the person, that was all lies though. Like, you can't make the truth a lie, and you can't make a lie the truth. Everybody knows that when I first moved to New York, I was running with Clark. And after I got my deal, then Chris and Dave Lighty was managing me. And that's all fact. That's not fiction. That's facts, not printer. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed myself that night. I got busy. The FUBU founders ran up on me. They gave me a bunch of stuff, invited me to the office because I said the joke about the shoes. And I just started to continue at that point to fall more so behind the scenes and learn the business.
Right. Absolutely. Yo, couple minutes left. I want you to just lastly, when we cut this part 1 off and we go to part 2, because Clark's in the chats and everything, and you told me this, but nobody is kind of aware. They see the photo of you and a young Jay.
That's my dude.
Tell me about who introduced you to Jay-Z. How did you go around Jay-Z? How did that all happen back then?
My first initial time meeting Jay-Z was in '89. He came to Boston to do this show called Rap Around with Jazzo. And that's when I met him and Jazzo at the same time. But the second time I ran into Jay was in Virginia Beach. And I was down there with a bunch of my peoples. We were all getting money in the streets. We were all, hustling or whatever. Ran into Jay, recognized him. He recognized me. He was at the table next to us, and we all had bottles of champagne enjoying ourselves. That was the second time I seen him. Mind you, this is pre-Reasonable Doubt. This is pre-Jay-Z, rhyming with original flavor, all of that, right? I'm starting to hang with Clark at this point, and I remember Clark used to always pick me up from the airport because that's when the flights from Boston to New York were like $50. So I'd fly back and forth all the time. So I would fly into New York without fail. Clark would always come to the airport and pick me up. So he picked me up from the airport and drove me straight to State Street to Jay's house.
560
Jay
State
came
Street.
downstairs, and Clark was like, yo, this is my man K. Jay kind of laughed with that signature Jay-Z laugh, reached out and gave me dap and said, yo, I know him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen him before. I know him. And so from there, Clark really made the reconnection.
Right.
So after that, I was running around in D.C. and ran into Jay again. And this is now Reasonable Doubt's getting ready to drop.
Oh, so this is not Reasonable Doubt hasn't dropped yet.
It wasn't even out yet. I was in the studio with Clark when he was doing some of the songs.
Wow.
I remember being in the studio when Clark was at Unique Studio recording Coming of Age with Bleak and Jay. I remember Bleak had to come do his part. And I just remember all that was going on. And in the same process, I got cool with Ski Beats because he was working. Clark and Ski did the majority of that album. And I got cool with Ski when I saw Ski with Jay in DC. And that's how I got cool with them. But at the same time, Clark had done half of that album and Ski did the other half. So here I am, I'm sitting in the middle like I'm in between two of the greatest producers of the golden era right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so from there, I used to see Jay all the time. I got real cool with Jay's cousin B-High. Me and him got real cool. And I used to be over Jay's house. I remember Clark had to fly to Japan one time to DJ. And then B-High called the house and was like, yo, come to the house. We're about to go to the club. Come hang out with us. And that's how I got cool with him. That's why when I see the Barclays Center and I see, oh, this is State Street where Jay used to live, I'm like, yo, he did live there. I remember Jay had a cookout at his crib one time and was like, yo, feel free to come through. That's crazy. How I know Jay, man. That's how I know Jay. And the picture that you're referring to, that was the Reasonable Doubt private screening. It was only people from Def Jam and
No,
Rockefeller.
you said it was the Streets is Watching.
Streets is Watching.
Mm-hmm.
The Streets is Watching movie. Jay came to the office, because for those who don't know, Violator was inside of Def Jam. So Jay came to the office and just walked through the office and said, everyone's invited to come across the street. We rented the movie theater across the street so that we could do this pre-screening for all of us. So we went over there, watched the movie, and when you see me and him talking, shout out to Lenny S. Lenny S took that picture, and Lenny S always had a camera. Always. No matter where we went, Lenny S had a camera, and he was on the street team at that time. Now Lenny S is an executive at Rock Nation. So Lenny S took that picture, and then a couple years later, he sent the picture to me. He's like, yo, you remember this? And I was like, oh, okay. And I just remember I was drunk. Yeah. And I think I was talking to Jay, when I was talking to Jay about, because I had just gotten my deal, was I was working on my album. And he was saying, yo, complete as many records as you can, then come get me and we'll do a record together. So that's what that picture was. I was drunk, just running my mouth talking to Jay.
Listen, incredible history. It's like you tapped in, like you said, the golden era of hip hop, right? Incredible stories, and I want to hear more. But on the Low Theory, we keep it short and sweet, my dude.
Yeah.
Next time for a part 2, I would love to tap you back in and have you side by side with Clark, man, to share these stories and share some new stories, man. I think
we got stories.
I think that'll be great.
When I first moved to New York, I was staying at Clark's house, and Clark was DJing everywhere. And I just remember he would be on the phone and he would be like, yeah, I need an extra ticket for my man, Anthony Mosley. And I used to be like, well, looks like I'm going on the trip.
Right. The
the
Lord's favorite DJ.
Listen,
Yo, KT, listen, man. We're gonna wrap this up. It's gonna be on all the podcast platforms after this. I appreciate you tapping in for episode 6, brother. And I wish you well as always. You know, anything you need from me, I got you.
No, stop trying to steal my line. I said that to you. I said whatever you need, just hit me up and we'll do it. Man. Listen, if I can leave you with this till next time, understand that to be able to be alive and be able to reminisce and go back and think about these things is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a blessing to be able to do that. But at the same time, I just want you guys all to understand that, you know, God is good.
Always.
Gotta sprinkle that in there.
always.
Nah, God is good. And I mean, for everyone who tapped in, God bless you all, man. It was good to see a lot of people's names I haven't seen in a long time. And I hope you enjoyed it. And let's do this again soon. Clark already said he's in. He said he's in. So
now we're gonna get that. We're gonna get the part 2 with you and him for sure to tell these stories. Now, for everybody who's gonna be listening in future, go ahead and shout your @name where they can find you.
Mine?
Yeah.
I'm on IG, just at Boston Legend _KT. I heard I wasn't in Wikipedia. And that's okay if I wasn't in Wikipedia, but I'm on the Benzino Project album. I mean, I was told I was given the name by Kev Williams and Benzino. They gave me the name Boston Legend.
She's on the chats, man. Shout to her, man.
He gave me the name Boston Legend, but hey, I'm just saying I'm not in Wikipedia. My thing is I never did it for the fame. I did it because it was easy.
Right. My guy.
Listen,
I appreciate you, brother.
Blessings, beloved. Peace and blessings, beloved.
Yes, sir. Peace to you, man. Thank you for tapping in, brother. Be good, okay?
No doubt. Take care.
Peace, bro.